What's up? I'm Kyle.
I'm Brendan.
And welcome to the Brain Buffet.
Is it worth trying to go, not necessarily just go to Mars? Is it worth trying to live on Mars?
In my opinion,
Yes.
no.
I agree.
Why? That's my first question. Why? Because we're destroying this? Have we made an impact? Sure. Do I want to go down the global climate whole thing? Not necessarily, but Mars does not look better.
No.
You know what I mean?
So everything that they're talking about with going to Mars, it requires literally changing the environment of Mars.
Sure.
There's so much radiation on Mars, it's not even close to livable. They've found traces of things that make it semi-livable, like there was once water, there's oxygen on it or whatever to an extent. Like there's minor things that make it so it's like we can kind of, but the fact that it's -80 in some areas of Mars and over 200 degrees of on Mars, like where's there room for us to live? Maybe in this tiny sliver where it's like decent. And there's no atmosphere.
It'd really come down to like dome life, you know?
Yeah, there would be a dome life, but I mean, that's not going to cancel out the radiation that's emitting from the planet.
So it would come down to atmosphere, and you would assume that if we're able to get to Mars, we can affect the atmosphere. I mean, we obviously, if we're going to Mars to escape our effect on this atmosphere, I would assume that we would find ways to affect the atmosphere there in whether positive or negative ways.
Yeah.
To make it livable.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
Well, if we can do that, why not fix ours?
I think we can.
It would take a lot less resources just to fix what we currently have than it would to literally transfer extremely smart people to Mars and then have them fix it. Or even try to. That's even if they could. That's if they live past a week.
Personally, I mean, opinion aside, the climate's always been changing. Always.
Yeah.
Since eternity. Whether we've been humans with cars or Fred Flintstone cars. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
But we've always had some sort of impact, whether it was, again, exhaust from our cars or farts that we've had.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's always been some sort of
aerosol
effect.
cans.
But do we really have that much impact? You know, I don't know.
Sure, I think to a degree we do have an extreme impact on our actual atmosphere. And I think we've sped up the process of climate change within the last 20 to 30, maybe not even further than that, probably 60 to 70 years.
Do we or do corporations?
Not necessarily you and me personally. We have a minor imprint on it based on car emissions and such like that. But yeah, like corporations, major manufacturers and stuff like that, putting out insane levels of carbon dioxide into the air or whatever it may be, burning excessive fossil fuels and all of that. So sure, we have to an extent had a impact on it, but I don't think it's the impact that will be required to even think about changing Mars's atmosphere.
And I guess I more so meant that like Mars to me isn't relevant because I think we have the capabilities of making Earth what it needs to be.
Absolutely.
You know?
So
Mars to me sounds like a trap. Because you're not going to go back.
Yeah.
And it sounds pretty imprisoning.
Yeah, for sure. So you would have to live out of a spaceship or
a dome. A small dome.
Well, after you build it.
Yeah, you'd be like Sandy Cheeks out there.
Yeah, for X amount of time, you're stuck in a spaceship until the dome is built and you're maybe capable of living on it because are you going to be able to take off your suit?
Even the travel time, dude.
Yeah, I don't know what the travel time would be, but you'd have to assume pretty extensive for how far that is.
It'd be strange. It definitely wouldn't be no plane flight.
Yeah, no. It's just wild to me to think that so many people are obsessing over the idea of moving to Mars.
I think it's just the concept of what's out there.
Yeah, for sure.
you know?
To an extent, yes.
Mars itself isn't very glamorous.
No,
in the sense of there's no beaches and it's not very luxurious idea.
No.
It's truly the adventurer captivating concept, and it's curiosity, which hey, cheers to you. But I don't know. Mars to me sounds like a trap.
Yeah, I agree. If possible, would it be worth it to travel to Mars? Not necessarily stay there, but travel there and come back.
Sure. One day, maybe.
Yeah.
But what would be the necessity? Why? Just to exploration? Just for travel?
Right. I mean,
so like a tourist thing?
Not necessarily a tourist thing. I mean, even just sending an astronaut there to inspect it.
What's the goal?
Yeah. Why?
Right.
We've sent rovers and such there. Like, what can...
Have we, though?
Okay, they say we have.
Fair.
To what we currently believe, yes.
Fair.
Have they? I don't know.
Right.
We can't prove that one way or
There's
another.
There's been a couple skeptical things that I've seen, but what can we work with? We can only work with what's out there.
Let's say that they've told us that they have, but what can an astronaut do that the rover can't do, or that they can't program a rover to do?
Again, yeah, no, that's a good question, because take samples, specimens, of the dirt, of rocks?
And why can't a rover do that and send it back?
I think they do, and you're right. The question is why send an astronaut out there?
I think if anything, it's an unnecessary risk to put on an astronaut's life.
And expense, because I guess who pays for that? The taxpayers.
Yeah, because NASA is funded by the government.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's SpaceX, that's a privately funded company.
But that just started. Yeah,
that's a newer thing, and they're still trying to get rocket ships off the ground, essentially.
They sent a car out there. What are you talking about?
Who's the other one? Blue Origin. Is that what it is?
I believe so.
Something like that. That's Jeff Bezos or whatever it may be. Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's more companies that are trying to get to that point. But currently, like, the most reputable one that we've all known of for the longest time that's actually had successful space missions, again, to our knowledge, is NASA, which is funded by the government, which is funded by the people.
But what's the goal? Is the goal truly to escape? What's the intention? Is the intention exploration, or is the intention to escape? It seems strange.
Yeah.
What's the motive behind it?
For traveling to Mars?
Yeah.
I mean,
because there's been two narratives kind of proposed there. Escaping in the sense that we're destroying this planet, and I mean, the obvious exploration of just space travel in a planet and going out there. If we have or haven't done it already, who knows?
Yeah. I feel like the main narrative, as far as we know, is exploration. But also, yeah, to a degree, to escape, because they think that the planet is ruined and stuff, and they think that we need more space, but that's not really the case.
It's very fear-based.
Yeah, it's based off a lot of fear of our planet is being destroyed and it's being ruined, and it's all these extremely powerful people that have the thought of going to these places. But are they going to be the actual people that are going?
Good question. I don't know. I hope to be able to ask them,
right,
if they haven't answered already. I don't know.
But the first spaceship that goes, the very first spaceship that goes out into space to go and try and land on Mars, Elon Musk isn't going to be on that spaceship.
No, I don't
think so. Jeff Bezos
so.
won't be on that.
I don't think so.
No, there's no way. That's too risky. They're not.
Prove me wrong.
yeah, for sure. If they want to prove us wrong in that, then awesome. But I don't think realistically that they're getting on that ship, because they'll realize the risk and the reward of it. Because realistically, what is the reward?
I just think in the sense of Mars itself, it seems so much more of a worthless investment to try to escape, as much as that investment would be to try to help this Earth.
Absolutely. Because they could, if they put the same amount of energy and resources into fixing Earth,
yeah,
it could be infinitely better.
If you can take the time to figure out how to travel to another planet, I'm sure we can figure out how to clean this air.
Right.
You know?
And
I'm not saying I have the answers, but collectively somebody has the answers out there.
With the right amount of resources,
right,
it's absolutely possible.
And if we're talking about traveling to Mars, I'm sure we have the resources.
Yeah. That's not a problem. They have the materials needed. They have the monetary value that is needed. They have the necessities in order to get to Mars, so they have the ability to fix Earth.
I mean, they say that we have more power in our pockets with our cell phones than it was to get them to the moon back, whenever.
I read something the other day, the spaceship that actually took someone to the moon or whatever had like 24 kilobytes of RAM. Only kilobytes. Whereas now your average computer has 8 gigabytes.
Could you imagine though? And again, let's expand on this. Food for thought. Just totally hypotheticals here. Would you trust yourself and or the scientist to send you into space on, would you say 24 gigs of RAM?
Kilobytes.
24 kilobytes.
KBs. There's kilobytes.
Yeah.
Megabytes. Gigabytes.
So 24 kilobytes. Would you personally trust?
At this point in time, absolutely not.
So I don't know.
If I was,
it's hard for me to accept somebody did. Like, what are you talking about? No.
I don't even know what RAM is at this point, but no.
Right. I don't know.
Obviously, there's way more technology than just the RAM, but like RAM runs so much of what our technology is now. Like,
that was just to put in perspective. Because you're so right. It's there's so much more.
It's insane. I wouldn't be able to be like, let's go. Not to mention like all the previous spaceship crashes that there had been and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, that would be hard to trust much of anyone, even if you have this huge team of the smartest scientists in the world behind you. Like,
yeah, I think I'm passing on Mars.
Yeah, I agree. I would rather them being put their resources into the Earth, where the common folk will stay.
Yeah, we
aren't going to have the option of going to Mars.
I mean, I couldn't disagree with some sort of potential relative space, like tourist kind of thing. You know what I mean? I could only imagine in a futuristic aspect that would be a possibility. Yeah. And shoot, I'd pay money to do that.
Oh, absolutely.
just to kind of get out there and check it out from like a spacecraft with like windows and stuff and see, that'd be awesome. But to go and colonize and live and be on another planet, maybe not.
No, it doesn't make sense in any form.
At least not my generation. You know what I mean? Maybe 10, 20 generations down, and they got like what if they completely, terrarium the entire Mars, and whether it's a dome, and maybe there's some irony there. But what if? That's a different idea, because then, you'd be like, what is that Simpson episode where they kind of go into the dome and kind of come in and spit,
I mean, yes, but at some point someone is still taking the effort to do that. They still have to, even 10 to 20 generations down the line from now, they still have to take the effort forth, unless it gets to a point where the technology has advanced absolutely significantly, where it's not going to cost an extreme amount to try to colonize Mars or something like that. Whereas now, it doesn't make sense.
So I'd say if that's the case, if the technology is already there to be able to expand on another planet very efficiently, then there would be no need to, except for the fact of overpopulation. The sense that we made living so easy that now we have to galactically space travel in order to not some sort of crazy anti-human genocidal like depopulation idea, but that the fact that like because we want to keep everybody alive and healthy and well, that we have to space travel and out there to get like colonized things, and because our technology can take care of that.
Yeah, which to an extent, I mean, maybe way down the line somewhere that could be possible.
I see us all wearing like one uniform, like a silver like space travel suit.
I could see that maybe being a thing in the future where we have a bad overpopulation problem. But I mean, at this current stage in life, we don't.
Well, overpopulation in the sense of land and space, or overpopulation in the sense of not being able to feed people? Because I think we could achieve the sense of being able to feed people, like nutritionally. Not saying everybody's eating steak and lobsters, but nobody's like going malnourished,
Yeah. I mean, to an extent, it goes with both. It goes with running out of land and feeding people, because I mean, when you start taking away from land, you're going to start taking away from the food sources. To an extent, that's not fully true. I mean, there's areas that can absolutely be colonized without taking away farmland. But if you start taking away farmland, then it's going to get harder to feed.
Well, you would assume that would kind of grow proportionally. You know what I mean? Farmland would expand as population expands. Well, if it works out. But
I actually seen this thing that was super cool. It was Elon Musk's brother.
Wow.
Can't remember his name. It's skipping my mind. But his brother came up with this idea and he takes shipping containers, old shipping containers, and he uses them to grow food inside of. And like it grows up along the walls of it and everything, and you can set it up for lights. He literally like sets it up. You can put it in your backyard.
Wow, that's actually really cool.
So like bigger restaurants can take that and like kind of use that and go get fresh food out of it every day. They can have fresh vegetables and fruits and everything every single day out of that.
I want to do a greenhouse. Kind of not necessarily the same, obviously, because you're having a artificial light source, but that is a really crazy idea in the sense that like literally you could just use that. You just need,
not to mention the ability to stack it. Be able to stack it so high.
There's different, and recently I've wanted to do a garden and talking about the greenhouse as well, but you can do like aeroponic growing where you could just, I mean, it's so simple in the concept in that you could literally just use PVC pipe, some tubing, a water pump, and water with the nutrients that the plant needs. And you just run the piping up towards the top and it sprays and sprinkles down. And then the plants that get little inserted in, they'll get the nutrients that they need to grow, and then you can just clip them. I mean, certain ones, obviously you probably won't be able to grow tomatoes there, but you could do like some, spinach, some herbs, some greens, whatever it is. But there's other ways that you can incorporate certain aeroponic or hydroponic ideas that super space efficient.
Right. And I mean that takes care of the food problem.
Sure.
So I mean, without eliminating
it makes it cheaper,
which also allows you to be able to take away from farmland.
Yeah.
Because if you're able to use space more efficiently and take away from farmland for housing and for having the land to actually provide to people, so there's more living area, you're able to take away from the farmland and give more efficient ways of creating foods.
Well, it kind of rethinks the idea of farmland, because it's not necessarily farmland in the sense that you're sowing land, like kind of, planting in the ground.
Right.
But more so just food growing center.
Yeah. Which gives you the ability to go up.
Yes.
Which is one of the biggest things with providing to masses is raising. There's only so much surface area of the earth that is able to be utilized. But when you add a level or another level, then you're adding surface area to be able to be lived in.
For sure. But those are greens, Those are vegetables, fruits, potentially. I don't know how fruits would grow. Maybe. I don't know. Be interesting to try. But can't do, live cattle like that. That would be crazy. Not saying you couldn't, but I don't know what kind of regulations fall into that. I don't want PETA coming after us.
You can't have a second-story cattle farm. They might jump out.
Stacked on top of each other. Yeah, no. Humane living for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying like, I mean, even now as it is with how a lot of slaughter places are is
Rough.
pretty disgusting. It makes me like, to an extent, it makes me not really want to eat meat.
No, my fiance and I have recently switched up all of our meat buying to a local meat market.
Yeah.
Because we can see, I mean, it's right there.
You
can
literally
see
know where it's coming from.
Right.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Yeah.
You know, there's no, hidden,
I'll take
secrets
Betsy.
or anything. I mean, it's not that
Yeah.
close and personal. But you get your selection. It's right there. You can see where they literally cut the meat right, and they bring it out, that day.
I mean, then you know how it's fed more so. It's a grass-fed cow.
Mm-hmm.
It's not pumped with hormones and all that. Like, you don't have to worry about what you're getting in your meat. So, I mean, how it is right now, the way slaughterhouses and stuff work is kind of disgusting.
For sure.
It's extremely inhumane. I mean, the cows and chickens, pigs are already being raised for slaughter.
Yeah.
But the short amount of time on Earth that they have, I mean, could make it kind of decent.
Well, and this is just a personal choice and a personal opinion, but veal kind of like creeps me out because the fact that like from my understanding, it's a baby cow who's never been like developed its muscles because it's literally been just trapped in a kennel, so to speak, and it's never really been able to stand up or whatever. I mean, I don't know the exact ins and outs. I mean, again, hypotheticals, just opinions here, but I won't, I've never had it. I don't even want to try and see if it's good because I don't want to really necessarily support something.
I've had it, but I didn't know what it was exactly. And once I found out what it was, I was disgusted. I was
it's like, crazy, isn't it?
It's sad.
It really is.
So sad.
Oh.
Yeah, it's hard to not eat meat to an extent. Lately, there's been like a lot more vegan and vegetarian options that have came into play, but when you were raised being a meat eater your entire life, it's hard to change that habit.
No, I definitely enjoy meat. I've tried to eat much more clean in the sense of a lot more fruits and vegetables balanced with meat,
Yeah.
I mean, I eat more fruits and vegetables than I do meat, which I think is the idea. But so as long as it's coming from a good place, and I don't know if I could do it here, but I wanted to start doing a couple chickens, and game, venison out there, getting it in the wild kind of thing, and the local meat market,
Yeah, for sure.
That to me would be ideal.
Hard to always follow that.
Sure.
But absolutely ideal.
Because then you can still eat meat and realize that it comes from a humane place.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's natural life cycle.
Yeah, there's not
ideas.
400 pigs literally standing on top of each other.
And you're not supporting it either.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is one of the biggest things that'll need to happen in order to shut down these major corporations.
Absolutely. You got to stop funding them.
But they're so heavily funded just because people love to go to the store and get their chicken nuggets.
Because of routine.
Yeah.
And comfort, and just the fact that, like, I really think routine more than anything.
And ease of access.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to access things like that. Whereas if, say, Walmart, because a lot of people do their shopping there, if they were to have like a butcher shop within there or something, people would be more, I feel like they'd be a little more inclined to actually go there rather than just like go grab their tube of meat.
But think about how hard that would be for Walmart, because there's so many stores,
Yeah.
That's why they wouldn't be able to do it. And it comes down to the small A community aspect. You
And
have
supporting your small communities and your small businesses. Yeah, absolutely. It's almost better that way to an extent. It is better that way instead of supporting more major corporations.
Because you would just be parking in the parking lot and you'd be seeing cows being loaded in the back.
Yeah, right.
That wouldn't be very good.
Yeah,
and then you're getting your motor oil, and then you're going over and getting a nice T-bone and a porterhouse, and then you're going over and getting
literally a one-stop shop for everything.
Yeah,
even your local butcher.
Yeah, I don't know if I would want that too much.
No, that's a bad way to put it, but I don't know. I can't stand how the way these companies operate in such a sense, and they don't care.
No, not even the
they
slightest.
Literally care just about the money that they're getting. They have complete disregard for the animals' lives.
Not even getting into like recent politics, but the fact of corporations and their impact on the law. Just of recently with the whole situations with the recent companies in Georgia's passing new law of voter ID. It's crazy to think that like some of these companies are willing to take a loss in the fact that there is a long-term plan of controlling the laws.
Yeah.
Like what people can do and not do. And that's crazy. That's scary.
It goes to show that money controls.
It really does. And at some point, money reaches a certain glass ceiling and power overtakes.
Well, money exists to an extent. There's money, but once you hit a certain monetary value, anything past that is just straight power.
Mm-hmm.
I seen something that was like someone that makes $100,000 a year can generally buy everything they want, have an amazing life, and they'll never have. No, it was that money doesn't buy happiness, but anything. But people that earned like $100,000 were like the happiest, and past that, like the people were miserable.
The more that you get, the more miserable you get.
Yeah, essentially. But like,
I could see that.
So to an extent, it did.
Unless,
I can't remember where exactly I was going with that.
I think if I could branch off of that for a moment, I think that like it's the culture behind the concept of money, you know, because if you have a lot of money, you can have a lot of happiness in the sense that you can help other people.
Yeah.
You know, like I can't remember who it was, but there was this person who was talking about, I think they were one of the first people to get in Bitcoin, and they made a lot of money, a lot of money. And he said one of the best things that he has been able to do with his money is every time he'd go to a restaurant, he would leave like a $500 or $1,000 tip.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can make an impact on somebody else's life like that individually,
right.
That's what it's about. You know?
For sure.
So there is happiness in money, so as long as you're aware of what you can do with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Buying a yacht is not going to necessarily bring you long-term happiness. No. It's going to bring you short-term happiness, but it's not going to, you know, help do a ripple effect in the whole humanity of growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like once you get to a certain earnings level with money, after that, you don't want more money. You like, you'll have all this money and you're just like, this money's doing nothing for me. It's just sitting there. So like they want power over something. So they're seeking for power, but they know more money will give them the power that they need because they know they can control things or people or whoever it may be with money.
Well, you're absolutely right. And I think after you get a certain point of achievement of money, you realize it's all about experiences. And so you want to control your reality in the sense of allowing your experiences the way that you want the world to be. And that's where the control comes into it, you know? And you're imposing that on other people. And that's where it really becomes a problem.
Yeah. It all depends on intention, though.
Sure.
So, I mean, someone that's making $10 billion that has great intentions they're not going to be doing the same things or taking their power.
I would imagine they would be leading by example and not imposing their will.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? Whereas someone that makes $10 billion with extreme ill intent,
right?
How is he going to control? He's going to want the law to work in his way.
His agenda to play out.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to want everything to work in his way and fall on his cards. And he'll be extremely greedy. Mm-hmm. He'll want to make infinitely more money because he won't feel like it's enough. So he's going to try to change laws to assume he's a businessman, to make people come to his business. The Walmart CEO, just for example, wanted another stimulus. He's always begging for it because what happens? Everyone goes and blows their money at Walmart. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure he made so much money off of these stimulus checks.
He's probably got a few new houses.
Oh, goodness gracious. And you know that's crazy because people flooded to Walmart.
Yeah.
Aren't we supposed to be socially distancing?
No.
How does that make any sense? You know, I agree with you, but like, how does that make any sense?
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
Man,
there's no logic.
Yeah. With what you said about social distancing, just brought up to my head was the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. I don't know if you heard about it. There's like a lawsuit or whatever going on with it because it was creating blood clotting.
Yeah.
Isn't that scary?
Dude, it absolutely is. The AstraZeneca one it has as well.
Yeah, that's insane.
You want to hear a crazy thought? And again, food for thought. Don't know this for certain. But so far, from my understanding, you got the Pfizer, you got the AstraZeneca, you got the Moderna, and you have the Johnson & Johnson, right? From my understanding.
Yeah.
But the Johnson & Johnson and the AstraZeneca have been causing blood clots.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, those ones have been having issues. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
But what if that's just drawing more attention to the other ones, and the other ones have some sort of technology involved with them, and you can look at the Moderna website, and it says that it has an operating system.
Yeah, I've heard that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They want to put an operating system in your body.
Yeah.
Boom.
It doesn't matter past that point. No.
It says that and I apologize, I can't do it verbatim, but paraphrasing, it's equivalent to an operating system on your computer in the sense that it's an app and that it can it can be interchangeable. So they can change things on a molecular cellular level.
No.
Right.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
You're not changing me.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. So the whole thing with the Johnson & Johnson one, like you said, I mean, it's pushing towards these other two, but people are just going and getting these. How are you going to go get something that has next to no... It doesn't have any real testing done.
No.
And people are flocking to get these, and all of a sudden...
They are the tests.
Yeah, literally.
I think the experimental testing, and I hope we don't get pulled off of YouTube for this, but I think the experimental testing ends in like 2022 or 2023 for some of them. I don't know if all of them, but and the real question is are they getting informed consent? Are they truly being sat down and informed on what they're doing, what they're partaking? Because they're being experimental subjects.
They're being feared into it.
Sure, and
that's what it is. And people fear this virus so much.
Guess when the last time that happened? Germany, Nazi.
Yeah.
There's the Nuremberg trials over this.
Yeah.
It's happening again.
Yeah.
It boils down to informed consent. If they weren't given informed consent, there's some serious problems going on.
And I mean, they can't be informed though if they don't know what the side effects can possibly be.
Exactly.
I guarantee all these people are getting sick from one of the other ones. I can't remember which vaccine it was, but one of the vaccines, people get like a day of just like straight death feeling.
It's crazy. And some people have been blaming Trump for this in the sense that he allowed it, but there was such a fear narrative that you had to.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, you had to do it. But what he did was, and I'm not necessarily taking his side, but he put it in the corporation's hands.
Yeah.
He said, okay, you guys are in this realm. You want to do this. You want to take this on. Let's see. And then, of course, we would assume that it went through testing and stuff like that. But again, we're under a national emergency. So how much testing really needed to be done?
How can you test within not even a 1 year period? There's no realistic testing. You can't like speed test.
No. And again, I'm not an expert on this, but I do know that there has been some vaccine testing in the past for certain coronaviruses. I don't know about this specific one, whatever. But even still, though, the fact that people are just flocking to it is the scary part.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and the fact that they're making it a need. I mean, let's bring up the vaccine passport. Come on, that's ridiculous.
I mean, coronavirus is a very broad term, anyways, that people don't really realize because there's been 19 different coronaviruses.
Isn't the influenza part of a coronavirus, essentially, under the broad blanket? It's an influenza, for sure, but I think it's technically...
I'm not exactly sure of that.
I could be wrong on that. Fact check me, and if you haven't already, like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and be sure to correct me in the comment section.
But, yeah, so, I mean, there's been 19 different coronaviruses, which I don't know if people really realize at this point. like, I researched it a little bit in the beginning. I was like, there's already been 19 of these. I didn't know about any of these other ones. And I looked into it, and like SARS, I believe, was one.
SARS-CoV-1, I think.
I think that was one of them. And then MERS.
Yeah, MERS, MERS,
yeah,
I think.
Was another one as well. Which, to my knowledge, do we even have a vaccine for those?
No, because I think those were more so Middle Eastern. I think that was what MERS was. That was more so over in that area. It did come into the United States a little bit, from my knowledge. I don't remember exactly.
I don't even know what years those were, to be
those
honest,
are pretty,
or anything. They were probably young when that happened.
I think so. But the fact is this isn't the first time.
Yeah. And it's not a virus meant for humans. The coronavirus isn't a virus meant for humans. It's something that starts with an animal that isn't always...
They haven't even been able to isolate it yet, though.
Yeah.
That's truly the craziest thing. How do we know what we're afraid of if you can't even isolate it to its singular form?
Right.
What are we really afraid of?
Yeah. Right.
I mean, come on. For real, though. Like, what are we really afraid of? There's a death toll counter on whatever mainstream media network you're listening to. I mean, that's kind of gone away recently. But really, though, if they haven't been able to isolate the virus yet, what are we really afraid of?
I mean, even the death toll was skewed.
Sure. And we're finding that out now. I believe the CDC
we were
just
realizing it then, though, because there was literally like someone died from a car accident, but happened to have coronavirus, and it counted as a coronavirus death. That literally happened.
The CDC came out and said that 6% of the deaths that were reported for it were actually independently related to COVID.
Yeah.
And whatever that is still interesting, because what is that?
Why is that fear? Why are you afraid of a 6%
propaganda
number?
It shows you what propaganda, how much power it has.
That is 6% of the people that actually got it. And you know who those 6% of people that happened to die were?
Probably in nursing homes.
Yeah, and people with pre-existing conditions.
Well, that was, and I'll give it all credit. I believe, in my opinion, or I'm sorry, in my understanding, the 6% was exclusively just coronavirus incidents, meaning the other 94% were, heart attack, comorbidities, car accidents, whatever it was that happened.
That's so ridiculous.
But even still, though, if you think about it, 6%, I mean, and God rest the soul of any person that did die from it. Any loss of life sucks, but there are risks every single day of life.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, 6% of the deaths. I don't know how many deaths there were. I think last I seen was like 88,000 or something. I might be wrong. So 6% of...
I think there was a couple more than that, just so people don't go raging out on us. I think there was like at least CNN or whatever news network you listen to. I think there was somewhere around like 150, 200,000 or something.
Okay, like I said, I don't truly
Actually, no, because that's what they really originally... No, they said 2 million. Sorry. Anyways.
Yeah, so I'll just say 88,000 because that's why I said. So even 6% of that is roughly 4,400 or so.
Yeah.
And that's just people that died from it. That's not...
In the span of a year.
And you know how many people got it? 100 million, I think. It could be wrong again. But like, it's nearing... I think it neared that number is how many people got it or something. Like...
Well, that was the problem. It was easy spreadable.
Yeah, it was very easily spreadable, but... So just 4,400 out of... Let's not even say 100 million. Let's lower the number, say 1 million people got it. I know it's way over that.
Let's say 80 million to make it at least relatively reasonable, because there's 330 million Americans.
That's like 0.002%.
Yeah. They say you're
That's a lower death rate than the flu.
My favorite thing that I saw was it's a simple math equation when it comes down to the vaccine. I know they're pushing it, and I'm not even going to call it a vaccine. From what I hear, it's just a shot, the jab, whatever you want to call it. But with those numbers, your body, even if, from my understanding, even if you're 70 plus, you have a 95% survivability rate. Mm-hmm. With the best vaccine, with the best shot or jab, it's like 80%. So
it makes it worse.
Right. Why are you sacrificing your own immunity for something that they're telling you to get?
Well, a vaccine literally destroys your immunity at the time. It literally eliminates all immunity to not any disease, but it makes you a lot more likely to get diseases while you're under the influence of a vaccine.
And this is the first time that an mRNA vaccine, shot, jab, whatever you want to call it, has ever been introduced. So what is this?
Yeah.
Who's to say that that's not going to allow you to be susceptible to another virus or whatever biological agent in the future?
That's way worse.
That's what I'm. Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm kind of like in my head. This is what I've been going over.
So let's say they are giving us this shot. Did they have an ulterior motive?
That's the question, huh?
I believe so. Personally, I think
and
it's
if you think
very
about
likely.
If you think about it in a totally hypothetical, because I'm not an expert, but that's the best biological warfare attack.
Oh, yeah.
You propose something that creates so much fear that people are consensually willing to get a vaccine jab. And that thing then allows them to be more
susceptible.
Yeah, in a more morbidity aspect of something that they could potentially release, because you can't track it then.
Yeah.
There's no way to trace it back.
So say someone doesn't get the shot and next year, let's just say next year, another coronavirus comes out. COVID-20 will come out. People that got the COVID-19 shot, what if they get COVID-20 and it makes it worse than the people that didn't get the COVID-19 shot?
That's the question. I mean, I'm just going to be upset if I can't taste my steak again. Come on now.
Just another lab-made virus, hypothetically, because I don't know how much water this boat holds, but it's interesting for me to think, and just food for thought, of COVID as an acronym. I mean, what are they pushing right now? They're pushing the vaccine passport, right? And so if you break down COVID into an acronym, it's Certificate of Vaccine Identification. Yeah.
Come on. Coincidences happen. But
do they though?
No, I don't think so. I can't stand when somebody uses the excuse of a coincidence, but that's aside the point. Regardless, odd questions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't raise questions to anyone.
Oh, right. No, it's absolutely questionable. I mean, coronavirus could also be, or COVID could be like coronavirus identification for 19, but that is crazy.
Vaccine passport. I mean, come on. What is this? This is insanity.
Yeah.
And
that's so illegal. Like,
beyond illegal.
That goes against everything that we've ever been told about, going against our medical records and everything. That's all supposed to be private.
That's my favorite thing. You're absolutely right. In my position, sometimes some of my employees will ask me questions with these recent guidelines that have happened. Thankfully, they're now being opened up, per se. But they ask me, like, whether it's the curfew or whether it's this vaccine passport. They're like, well, it's going to be mandatory. And I just look at them and I said, no.
Says who?
Exactly. Like, they can't.
Yeah.
Like, they make sounds with their mouth, but that's it. It holds no weight.
And
they can't do it.
No, there's never going to be an allowance to make something mandatory like that.
No, not until we all consensually give it to them.
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen.
No.
That won't happen.
No, it won't.
It absolutely will never happen.
No. And if they try to come with the military into our neighborhoods and start trying to force the shot.
Well, and you're right. That comes down to the idea that, like, the military would then have to break their oath.
Yes.
They'd have to break their oath, because ultimately they're a part of the government, but they don't represent the government. They represent the people.
Yeah.
And
they're meant to.
I trust
the government's also meant to represent the people as well.
Personally, I trust the military. You're right. But I trust the military, I think, more than I do the government, to a degree.
I trust the individuals of the military.
Right. I think we touched on that a little bit in another podcast. I do agree with you. Respect all military servicemen out there, but there's always bad apples in every bunch.
And I feel like those bad apples.
But anybody willing to sacrifice their life, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep. Those bad apples are way higher up on the food chain, though.
For sure. Much smaller percentage. At least I hope and pray to God.
Yeah.
But with that being said, though, I would be much more willing to trust them than to say government and black suits.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
that
for sure.
would be.
I'm still not letting them stick me with a needle.
No. 1,000%. No, neither of them are sticking me with a needle.
No.
But more so in the idea that, like, if I saw tanks rolling down the street, I'd be like, okay, something's happening here. I'm all right. You know, they're not coming to my door. But, you know, even if service members came up to my door and said, hey, you know, we're taking control of everything here, I'd be much more trusting of them than if two guys in black suits that came up and said, hey, we're taking over everything here. I'd be like,
dum, dum, dum. Yeah.
What?
Right.
I'd be much more on alert, I think.
Well, after whatever you do, can you hit with your little flasher thing like Men in Black?
So that I forget?
Yeah. I don't want to remember this.
Yeah, no doubt erase the memory on that one. It's, I don't know. That's just me, though, obviously.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible to have your memory erased? Yeah.
I think you have to be, I would hope you have to be consensual to it, you know, in a therapy aspect.
Yeah, I feel like therapy is a possible way to go about it.
Because I've heard, without going too deep into any sort of rabbit hole, I have heard of some sort of Navy Marines encountering certain scene situations and some scenarios where they had to.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I'm sure.
psychologically,
PTSD. Yeah.
It would be uncomprehendable. I mean, I don't even know.
They wouldn't be able to exist in the world.
But with that being said, yeah, I think so. I mean, I would have to imagine. And again, and this kind of references to one of our other podcasts. If you haven't already, we've got a couple of them out there. Go check them out. If you like them, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications if you haven't already. But we talked about some of the technology with that, and I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that'd be scary.
Yeah,
a therapy session is one thing because that's kind of consensual. You're going into this, but like, you can just wipe my memory. Like, someone could do whatever they wanted to me, and then like, just wipe my memory. Turn me into a robot or something. I don't know. Like,
that's why I hang on the sliver of consent.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I hang on that sliver.
Consent is literally everything. Life is essentially based around consent. It's consenting what I want to do.
Well, it boils down to, you know, and with the idea of spirituality, it's God's free will. He gives you the choice, you know, consent. But with that being said, there's universal laws out there that you have to give consent to certain things. Otherwise, there's repercussions.
Right. At times, it almost feels like our consent's being ripped from us.
Yeah.
Especially as of lately. Like,
for a while there, it was very slow. And then all of a sudden, that Band-Aid is getting ripped off. Yeah. You're 100% correct on that.
Yeah. In many forms, whether it be the medical field, whether it be... You can take it down just about any avenue that you want to. It seems like we're...
The whole COVID situation, just with you said the medical field there, with the financial incentives they have with just striking up COVID as the death certificate is insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like, what do you mean? Like, that just goes to show how corrupt the financial aspect of hospitals in the medical industry is. Why?
It's the number one earner in the world.
They give them like... I don't even want to give figures because I don't know exact, but there's truly a financial incentive involved, and it's crazy.
Cancer, like, for instance, is one of the number one things for medical, like one of the highest earners, and that's why there'll never be a cure for it.
There's more money in treating than there is for the cure.
Yeah, absolutely, especially when things are given to us every single day that are cancer-causing agents. It's ridiculous. I can't remember what it was, but there was something like just absolutely insane to me. Like, I think it was the vaccine. Like, the one vaccine did have like cancer-causing agents in it or something like that. I can't remember exactly. Or no, Johnson & Johnson again,
bringing them back.
Yep, bringing them back. Their nighttime baby lotion from a few years ago, there was found to be cancer-causing agents within the nighttime baby lotion, which is for babies.
Well,
and that's insane.
For sure. And that's what strikes me as so I don't want to say the word funny because it's not funny in the sense that people are actually struggling out there and going through some real issues with it. But the fact that the exact example that you referenced there, and the fact that there has been some serious lawsuits out there with Johnson & Johnson baby powders causing cancer, why would you get the shot from them?
Yeah,
they have so many lawsuits out there for causing cancer and killing people.
And why?
I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. So many situations that have caused people to have unfortunate outcomes.
Yes, but why is a company like Johnson & Johnson in the medical field? They're in selling stuff for babies,
almost all toiletries.
Why?
Well, corporations. It boils down to corporation control.
Oh, and absolutely.
That's why
but they have an intention down the line that creates you as a customer for life, one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
So they're creating a nighttime lotion for babies.
Yeah.
That I know so many people that use it. It's insane, but it has cancer-causing agents. Somewhere down the line, they're going to run into Johnson & Johnson again.
I think it boils down to misinformation and the fact that they've almost hijacked our psychology of convenience.
Yeah.
Can we break from it? Sure. And honestly, what does it boil down to? It boils down to boycotting.
Mm-hmm.
It boils down to boycotting the certain corporations that are doing inhumane things, and through that action, and then people say, what can I do? I have no power. That's exactly what you can do.
Yeah.
Boycott the corporations that are not doing good things. If you do that, what happens? They can't afford to do what they do anymore. And whether somebody takes advantage of that and somebody who is humane pops up something in the same market,
yeah,
cool, support them.
And the simplest way to boycott is just not buying their stuff.
Exactly.
It's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
You can say you as an individual doesn't do something, but okay, someone brings up a company to you that you don't necessarily agree with, discuss that.
Yep.
Talk to that person about it. You two can take it, turn it into 4. You 4 turn it to 16 or 8. 16. It doubles.
Right,
it just keeps going. It's exponential. Like, it'll just continuously grow nonstop forever. And eventually everyone will not everyone, because not everyone's going to listen, but a lot of people will be like, wow.
It catches on.
There's really a problem here. And it's crazy with a company like Johnson & Johnson. I didn't even learn these things until the whole coronavirus.
And that's the problem, is because the funnel, the bottleneck of information.
Yeah.
That's why. Why do we not have we have the internet, but it doesn't
we don't learn these things until Johnson & Johnson has a big lawsuit for a relevant time going on.
Right.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy for sure.
Which, you could probably look into just about any company and find massive lawsuits against just about anybody. There was another baby lotion that I heard about that had they poured it into a strainer and they sifted it all out or whatever, and then they poured it out and it had aluminum flakes in it.
Ooh.
Like, man,
that's
people are putting
crazy.
people are putting that on their kids.
Yeah, see, I'm going to be the crazy parent that I'm going to do everything natural and organic and spend way too much money.
Yeah, it's the best way to do it, though.
Yeah,
it's your baby.
Juice everything myself, smoothies, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's your kid.
Fruits, dried fruits, all that.
It's just crazy the world that we live in, that people would be giving these things to kids or creating them for kids even.
It's the stress of being in the rat race.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give him too much slack, but you have to prioritize your family. You have to prioritize your baby.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
But being caught in that rat race, you only have a certain amount of time.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Convenience takes over.
But corporations, that's disgusting.
Scary.
It's insane what corporate America has become. And it's insane what we are.
And I believe in capitalism. Capitalism is great.
Yeah.
But it's been hijacked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's been infiltrated and hijacked. In the sense that it's not beneficial to the market, to the greater all, even
the term though, corporate America, is insane because
hopefully it's not anymore.
It's a common term though, but America is a corporation, not even just in the sense of we have corporations, America within itself.
Hopefully not anymore.
Oh, hopefully. But
You're right. It is, or it was. I hope to say it was. I think it was. I think it now was in past tense. But regardless, right. And one of the craziest things I learned about recently is that your birth certificates are traded as bonds. Like you become an asset to the corporation.
We're an employee.
Yeah.
We're employees to America. We work for America. America doesn't work for us anymore.
In all capital letters, it's a corporation.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. And the benefits aren't that good.
No.
There's no 401k here. This sucks.
No, it definitely was hijacked for sure. I think that was like 1871 when that happened or something. But we should be a republic. We are a republic.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that's kind of been skewed over time is like people think that we're a democracy. We're not necessarily a democracy. We're a republic, you know? We're a union of states. We've all agreed upon the same, originally we agreed upon the same limited government of just protection, you know, and potential and trade and stuff like that. But other than that, states take care of themselves, you know? Or at least it should be.
Do you think it would be beneficial if we eliminated a federal government?
Not entirely, no. I think you have to have a federal government, but it has to be very limited. We have to be in control of the federal government.
Yeah.
That got lost out of hands because there has to be this agreed upon protection and communication and, you know, trade. You know, there has to be a global idea because I don't want one world government. You know what I mean?
So, but
it has to be limited.
Think about what if we were capable of keeping our military and keeping our protections, eliminating the federal government, and we just follow, there was like state government still, there was still local governments and such, and we were able to base our lives around that. I feel like it would be a lot easier to eliminate a lot of corruption because it would be smaller to where we kind of like we're more capable of seeing everything that's going on.
Well, that would still be the case. You would still have, and to be honest with you, would transition the power to those. So the states would have more power, or they still do. They just don't realize it. But they would have more power than what is perceived today.
Yeah.
However, my argument to still having a limited federal government is because if we had an invasion from another country, let me propose two scenarios. Would you rather have 50 states trying to communicate with each other and form one army and go ahead and fight against it? Or would you rather have one federal government who is in communication and is connected as one unit to be able to overtake that situation? You know? And I'm only saying this in a limited sense.
Yeah. I mean, to an extent, it makes sense to have an answer to the one person, but like, to the one singular government rather than 50 governments. But why can't that be implemented into our current military? I'm not saying I don't at all want the military to run the United States. It should be ran by the states. But
well, the military wouldn't run the states. The military would. I meant more so just the military as an example of why we would still need a federal entity, but the federal entity should be very limited, and they should have only very basic ideas. So again, protection, military, communications to other countries, trade to other countries, so that we can still export things, and import things, whatever. But it would be everything that we as individuals, as civilians, truly have in our reality would all come from community aspects, and more so your mayors, then your governors. It'd be your state and local community idea more.
Yeah.
But if we had an existential threat such as another country or whatever, I would want a single unit, a single entity to defend versus 50 entities trying to come together that are all smaller little,
yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to use the word militia because it's not, because it'd be organized, but you know what I mean?
Right. That's an odd area. I feel like the federal,
and I'm not supporting the military industrial complex by saying that.
right. Yeah, no, the federal government's just a mess in what it is entirely.
It needs to be restructured based upon the Constitution.
I don't want to say we should be controlled. We shouldn't be controlled, but the state is what we should be following rather than the federal. It's ridiculous to me, like the idea of paying into the federal government and stuff like that.
Well, where's the money going to in the federal government?
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Right.
So like,
but if you think about it, to kind of run off the first thing you just said there, we should be following the state. And I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I apologize. But we kind of are. If you think about this whole masks and stuff like that, it's all state level. So it's showing the people that the states actually have the power.
Right. There's a lot less corruption at the state level.
Ooh, I don't know if I'd go that far. It's easier to mask, to be honest with you.
You think the states are more corrupt than federal?
Oh, I don't know if I'd say that.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I don't know if I'd say there's more, but I would definitely say that there's a good percentage.
I'm not saying that there isn't corruption within the state government or local governments even.
I'd almost go so far to say that you must have to be corrupt to get into government to a degree.
To a degree, yes. Yeah, sure. But
in the current system.
Yeah, absolutely. Changes. I don't know. I just think it would be beneficial to eliminate the federal government. I don't necessarily see the benefit out of it. I understand where you're coming from with having a single entity to answer to as far as the federal goes, or as far as the military goes, but I mean, the U.S. General or whatever, something like that, the General of Defense or something like that is the person you answer to. Sure, there would still be these departments.
Mm-hmm. But that would be a federal thing, you know?
I suppose, yeah. I mean...
But I agree with you. It should be
it's hard to think of how it should be different, but it should be. But why can't we eliminate Congress, eliminate the Senate?
Well, technically, I think they're the ones that's supposed to represent us.
Okay, but they don't.
Like no, you're right. And there was what was it? Julian Assange, the WikiLeaks. He said that like if corruption was if corruption overtook the government, or I'm sorry, if corruption went through, if the corruption was exposed, I apologize, throughout the government, that 98% would be gone.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Wow. You know? Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense then, you know? Not that to say that the system isn't bad. It's just been infiltrated.
Yeah.
You know?
But isn't it easier to have one person or a group of people rather be the voice of, I don't know what exactly our population is here in this state. Let's say, I don't know if you know roughly 15
the population in the state.
Yeah,
I don't know.
15 to 17 million, whatever it may be. Wouldn't it be easier to have one person be the voice of that, or a group of people, a state government be the voice of those people? Wouldn't it be easier to elect those people to that point?
Well, it is. That's a governor. That's Mike DeWine for us right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, yes, but why is there a need for governing beyond that? Then why do we have to vote in a voice that is the House or the Senate or
I think
a president even?
So, okay, and you're right. To boil it down, those things to me are just filters for things to pass through so that things don't get crazy and wild corrupt. Ironic, things are very wild, crazy, and corrupt. But things beyond that, I agree in the sense that there needs to be a transition of power. The states should have, which I think they do, and just people don't realize it, but they do have more power. They really do.
I can't remember exactly how the power line goes. I think it's your local governments are number one.
Yeah.
Then it's state, and then it's federal.
So the big question is where are all these federal tax dollars going to? Well, we're starting to find out through all the stimulus checks and stuff like that, they're going overseas. And I think we've known that for a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the problem. Yeah. Because if you think about it, if you're right, say 90%, let's not even say that, whatever percentage you want to put on it, the power comes from the states. Well, if 50 states contribute even a bare minimum to in strictly, extremely strictly to these three things, and maybe there's more, but protection and military, communications, and global trade. Those three things, you know what I mean? And well, again, maybe there's more than that I'm excluding, but regardless, and it wasn't being just spent on fill in the blank of all the other craziness. I really think that we would be able to have a sufficient system and still have the majority of the power in the sense of us as civilians understand coming from local governments, state governments. And I think that's the idea, because us in our state know what we need versus somebody else in another state thinking what we need. You know what I mean? And vice versa.
And a lot of that goes based off of the laws and I mean, mainly laws, but like cost of living and such like that. We don't know what they need. It's like, so we got the $1,400 stimulus checks. $1,400 to somebody in New York City is literally nothing.
Yeah.
It's literally nothing.
Change.
Yeah. That's like, oh, I can pay a quarter of my rent. Meanwhile,
for my studio.
Yeah. Meanwhile, where we live has a lot lower cost of living as compared to what New York City is, and you can afford 2 months of rent off of that. So like, no, we don't know what the person in New York City needs. So why do we have this blanket federal government that outlines what we think we need? Right. Sure, we can take foundations out of it, and that should be implemented into the state government, which a lot of it already is. But these federal systems are just absolutely ridiculous and seem like such a expendable thing.
There's a lot of roots. You know what I mean? There's a lot of roots that trickle out and get ingrained within the state system that shouldn't be. And you're right, because on a state level, they shouldn't be making within a community in a state level, the federal government should be making decisions based upon what I have to do.
Yeah.
But again, though, I didn't want to exclude it because there are certain basic things that I think that should be agreed upon as us as a republic. Those common core ideas.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Nobody, I mean, again, we live in a state where there's a lot of snow. I'm okay with spending a little bit of extra money to ensure that when I wake up in the morning to go to work, the roads are plowed.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's salt on the roads.
Meanwhile, they don't need that in Florida, Georgia, southern states. So yeah, absolutely. Right. The tax dollars go to that. Their tax dollars go elsewhere, I'm sure. But like, I don't know. Going back to something we talked about in a previous podcast, the polling system would be so much easier if it was only towards the 15 million people or whatever it may be in our state. It would be a lot easier to not necessarily pass or reject laws, but be able to get a realistic number of what people actually want within a state and what could be beneficial to your state if you only have to base it off of 15 million people. Because again, we don't know what someone in New York City wants. And it would be a lot easier to have our personal voice into something. Whereas if we were to do something similar for 300 million people in the whole entire United States, people in Ohio could want something, but it couldn't pass because the people in Texas are like, that's stupid.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense here. I'll never use that.
No,
meanwhile, I might here.
Right. No, I agree. And I think politics on a local level should be made cool again. You know, like they need to be reimagined in a cooler, and I don't mean cool in the sense of like it has to be dumbed down or nothing like that, but it just needs to be made more approachable. And I think we would see a more beneficial outcome from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I just don't see. I can see a world where the federal plays in, or the United States where the federal plays in, but at the same time, I can see it about just as well without it, especially within the government that we currently know and understand.
Do you really think we'd be able to defend ourselves if we had a foreign invasion and then we didn't have a single entity to protect us?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
All 50 states. What if Ohio or Virginia or New York said, oh, California's being attacked? Mm-hmm.
It can't be looked in that way.
You know what I mean? But who's to say? if you have a single
But
entity,
then
the whole thing is what it is, and we have to protect all the people because it doesn't matter where you come from. It all starts at the border of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it can't be looked at in that way. If we were to not separate, we aren't separating. We're staying as the United States, but the federal government would just go away. We would still have to look at it as a union. And all militaries protect all of the United States. There's not an army of California. There's not an...
So there would be an oath to protect all of the states.
Yes. So no matter if you were signing up for the...
Would it be better if we called it a national thing instead of a federal thing?
Yeah.
So a national army?
Yeah. I mean, the army isn't necessarily meant to be a federal thing. It's...
No. And that's right.
So, yeah, absolutely. It would be a national protection. Okay. We could have an NPA, National Protection Agency.
Let's get away from these 3-letter agencies because they haven't done so well so far.
Yeah, that's true. All away from that one. No, but
no, I get what you're getting at there. So there would still be some sort of agreed upon protection of all.
Yeah.
And maybe there's even still an agreed communication of all, an agreed global trade of all.
And yeah, trade would have to remain the same.
We'd have to work together.
We are not getting away from our fundamentals of what we are and how we trade and how we protect each other and how we do things like that. We're staying united, but we're following more of a local level rather than looking into... Everyone looks at federal. So, and I don't think the federal... I feel like it does more harm than good.
In a way, instead of a singular block, would be a lot of interchangeable puzzle pieces that are stuck together.
Yeah. Yeah. And we still, like I said, protect each other. We still take care of each other. We still send foods and goods to each other. It's not... We're not becoming a different country from each other.
No, I think that's actually a very optimistic and beautiful perspective about it.
Yeah, I think that would be an extremely good way to go. And then again, like you said, we can easily do what we have
more easily
do what we would need to on a local level, where our state can have what our state needs.
Yeah,
and we won't have to follow the same federal guideline that is in Mississippi or Alabama, wherever. We have our laws. And if we are traveling to another state, we still have to follow their laws. So just like if you were to travel countries, you still have to follow their laws when you go there.
Right.
So,
but there would still be free travel, though.
Yes. It's still free travel. You don't have to have a passport to go into another state.
Yeah. Okay, good.
So, yeah. No, you don't need a passport to, like, leave the state that you're in or anything. There's still free travel. It's essentially what it is now, but we follow the state governments. We're more capable of electing local people into our government. And people can get the word out about a local person a lot easier than what they can because people are going to know that person on an individual one-to-one level.
Yeah.
People have had a lot more interactions and those words will spread. And it's a lot easier to have polling options, like I was saying earlier, for people to vote on actual bills that they would like to have passed or see passed. And there would still be a team behind the governor that would be... It would still have to be, again, elected individuals.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a big thing, is it would be agreed upon.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think, well, I don't know if we solve the world problems, but we definitely solve national problems.
Yeah. Wonder if that'll change.
No, and again, though, just food for thought. You know, it's good to put thoughts out there, just perspectives, because ultimately that's just what it takes, a little bit of a breadcrumb to kind of run with and be like, because it's a ripple effect, you know?
Yeah.
And it just takes a reimagining. So easy to just accept what is to be what is, but that's kind of crazy if you think about it, because who's agreeing that that is what it is, and it all comes down to consent. So if you're giving a blind consent, well, shame on you.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So providing food for thought allows just a different curiosity, questioning, always question things.
Yeah.
And do the research yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't just take everything that someone tells you.
For sure.
You got to actually go look it up and then find another spot.
Yeah.
Another spot, cross-referencing.
No, I think that's a good concept in the sense of allowing such growth in a local aspect. It needs to be more personable.
Yep.
That's what it needs to do.
So, on that note, why don't you take that, look up some homework?
Yes.
Go look something up.
Hey, find out who your mayor is.
Yeah, learn who your mayor is. Learn who you got, local officials and stuff like that. Learn your people, your local
government. On the state boards, check it out. The education boards, your school boards, I should say. It's good to know. And who's to know that? Why don't you get an opinion? If you're not making votes within or who's on there, make a run.
Yeah,
right. Like if you have an opinion, voice it.
Yeah. Speak it with your friends too. Don't leave it to yourself. Mm-hmm. Talk about it.
No doubt.
Think about how you can make a change.
Don't be afraid of opposing opinions. That's a big thing. A lot of people are skittish to talk because they don't want to get into a situation where somebody doesn't believe or think the same thing that they think, and then all of a sudden it just becomes superficial. Yeah,
like just now we were disagreeing on the whole federal government thing to an extent, and we kind of reached an area of okay, maybe,
yeah, no doubt.
Open the thought process, and that's all you got to do. Just open a thought.
It's all it takes.
Yeah, absolutely. And then who knows where it can go from there? And take that down a rabbit hole. And run.
No doubt. And definitely do your own research for sure.
Oh yeah, always.
I don't know where we're at, but that's kind of a beautiful note to end on.
Oh yeah, for sure. So thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, appreciate you hanging out here at the Brain Buffet. Hope we provided some food for thought. If you haven't already, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. And appreciate you hanging out with us.
Yeah, have a nice day.